Chad, what is up, man? What do you think we start this off by asking our listeners a couple of questions?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's go deep. So, are you in a process right now looking to change what it is you're doing? Or are you struggling to get out of a lot of the same patterns? Or maybe everything you know as normal and routine no longer exists, like the COVID-19 made this exact thing a reality for a lot of people. No longer can we just wait for our circumstances to change, but we need to reinvent who we are. And also, a little side note, if you haven't checked out my last episode regarding sacrifice, it's going to put this in a little bit more of perspective for you. So go check it out and come back. Anyways, I'd like to welcome everyone and thank you for tuning in. Today's April 23rd of 2020, and what an episode we have in store for you today. You guys are listening to MetaLine's Real Pros, the podcast for linemen leading the workforce, striving to be the best in-and-out husband and on-the-fly father. A little bit of a background of our guest today. This young buck is in his early 30s, and he's born in Santa Rosa, California, and grew up in between Petaluma and Lake County, California. He's an amazing father and a proud husband, and he also has a 2-year-old baby boy who he coincidentally had on 4th of July. Patriotic, I think so. He's also joined the Brotherhood twice, not only graduating the U.S. Marine Corps in 2010, but also graduating NLC in 2015, and is currently a 6-step apprentice in the IBEW's Mountain State. This is a guy who thinks a fun time is taking his wife out to Lion's Head Ranch to go pig hunting, or bringing his family along on the work traveling adventures in his fifth wheel, capturing every amazing moment along the way together. And when it comes down to it, this is a person who I know understands what it takes to continually pursue greatness and constantly create opportunities for a future you'd be proud of. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you a man who is destined to become a leader in the trade within the next 5 years, and who's learned how to stay in the fight and pivot to survive. Chad Knapp, everybody. Thank you for coming on, man. What is going on,
Thanks
dude?
Pretty nothing much. Just hanging out, living with the family, the kid. Kid's finally down for the night, so got with you, and we're gonna do this little podcast for you. So
right on, man.
I'm down.
So how's your folks and everyone doing with the shutdown? Are you guys surviving this COVID-19?
I mean, like my little brother, he's a lineman too. He's still working, and he's in Nevada right now, working out at 12:45, and he's loving life, working probably 50, 60 hours a week, doing some probably some reconductor or something out there. I'm not too sure. I haven't caught up with them for a little bit. My folks are doing good. I mean, as much as they can be right now, and we're just taking it day by day.
Yeah, I feel you. So Easter, what was that, like a week ago? How was your Easter, man? Where did you guys celebrate? What did you guys do? With who?
We stayed right here in Denver, Colorado, where I'm working out of here at 111. And we honestly stayed with some friends from church and stuff like that. It was a little bit harder because of Easter and the whole COVID-19 thing going on.
Right on.
But we had some people come by. They hid eggs in our front yard. Our kid went out and, found eggs all morning long. So it was a good time. Some of the neighborhood kids, we helped them out too. We gave them the eggs, hid them in their yard for a while. So we kind of passed it through the community as much as we could.
Dude,
so it was a good Easter.
What a community. I mean, that's what it's all about too, really. I mean, it sucks the pandemic, but the community is where it's at. I mean, it's amazing. So RJ, dude, his birthday's on 4th of July. Did you guys plan that? Like, what's going on? How did you?
It's funny you asked. No, he was due 7 weeks after July 4th, which was in sometime in July, August, something. Mm-hmm. Or beginning of September, actually. And when it came down to it, I think September 27th was the exact date that he was supposed to be here. But in fact, we were all partying for 4th of July. We had the weekend off with all the boys here. My little brother was actually in the part too because he was working at the same company I was.
Oh, no way.
So it was, so we were just partying. I got super drunk, and my wife came and got me at like 11, and I came to bed. And 1 o'clock, she woke me up, and I was still hammered. I know it's probably not a good thing, but I still don't remember how we got to the hospital and got her up there. And 4 hours later, we had little RJ at
Oh,
2
dude,
o'clock in the morning. So
that is crazy. Holy Graham's like, Dad, I'm ready. Let's go.
he came out like a little firecracker.
Oh, dude, that is so awesome, man. So, like, what are you envisioning on how are you going to celebrate his birthdays from here on out? Like, what are you going to do in the future? Just be camping every
Well,
time or what?
I mean, as long as we don't get COVID every year, we'll be good to go. We'll be, honestly, we thought about it. Was like, I don't even have to get him a present. We got fireworks every year. I mean, we'll just
Dude,
say it's for him,
straight.
until he understands that it's not for him.
Right. That's awesome, dude. Oh,
So,
speaking about birthdays, yo, yours is in a couple of weeks, right? You're turning what, 34 on May 5th?
33 on
30.
May the 4th be with you.
Nice, man.
So,
Cool. So, what do you got any special plans to doing anything?
I was gonna buy a dirt bike, but I think we're gonna put a hold off on that until this apprenticeship's over with, so I
Yeah.
don't have to worry about getting hurt and stuff. But no, there's no big plans. I mean, we don't really do too much for us. We'll probably just hang out. I mean, it's on a Monday, so
Gotcha.
not too much to do.
Nice.
So
Okay. Well, breaking back into reinventing yourself and back to the topic today, it's a process. And the beginnings to the process of reinventing yourself is to always be mindful of what you tolerate and what you expect as a baseline for everything in life. And just like a compass being magnetically drawn to true north, so is your attention and actions when you focus is not applied. So where is your magnetic north? Where do you default to? Chad, so from the US Marine Corps to NLC to IBEW, man, tell me a time where you had to reinvent yourself along the way till now.
uh you know, I've had a lot of steps back. I mean, there was a time 2010 came around. I didn't know what to do with my life, so I became a truck driver, and I cruised around for a while. I hit ITT Tech up, and did that for a while, and then I dropped out because I got recalled back to the Army, and because I went from the Marine Corps to Army. I know it sounds weird, but then I went back to Afghanistan, and then after that, I wanted out, and I didn't know what to do with myself. So I worked some few dead end jobs, didn't know where I was going, and I kind of, went from there, and I got into this. If you want me to go into that and how I did that right now, I can do that.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
so
I was wondering, like, so during the reinvent yourself, when you were reinventing yourself, you mentioned that you came across a method of the crawl, walk, and run, and it sounded like that was a huge help in a portion of your seasonal life. You wanted to explain
right.
that a little bit for our listeners, because I'm really interested in that in itself.
So so what I had to do is to you get knocked off your feet and you get put on your butt. So a lot of guys in the military, they get out, they're knocked on their butt because they don't have a bed no more, food every night. So to get that crawl, you have to start in a place where you're going to be around the right people with the right things that are going on in their life too, to be a positive influence. And then from there you kind of walk in, you start walking into what you really want to do.
Mhm.
So your next step would be like, what is my ultimate goal? Where do I want to be? So I started doing that, and then I went into construction as my walk. That gave me some real good kind of money coming in and stuff like that. And then it was the run. Now I got to hit my passion and goals. I'm getting older, and that's the whole crawl, walk, run method. I think is start on a good basis of crawling. You build from that base, and you
Yeah.
go from where you are. That's how you get your compass. And I feel like if you slow down and you really think about what you want to do and start over, because I had to start completely over. I had nothing really. So, I mean, good friends and family around me, but
All right.
to really crawl and then get to the next step, it's more of a crawl, walk, run method, which, that's a leadership trait of mine too. So it
Yes.
works out, if you can see that.
That's huge, man. And I fully agree. Like, we are always in motion, and it's up to us to decide whether we're going forward or backwards, dude. And
Yeah.
obviously that whole method is forwards, and it's amazing. But there are times when you it's kind of like a zigzag pattern. You have the goal, like you were saying, those goals are huge to at least start crawling towards. And like the words of Heinz Chrisman, aim for your goals. Even if you step off the path for a moment, it's okay. Just always direct yourself back to the goals. And I mean, dude, that when you mentioned that to me and how you came across that saying, wow, that went up on my whiteboard for keeps for sure, dude. Because that is such a simple saying, and it all balls it up into one. Like just keep trucking, crawl, walk, run, as long as you're going to your goals. Um, every time you reinvent yourself, you will be a fuller and better person for it. And when things are bad is the best time to reinvent yourself, that I found personally that helped me out. And just like established products, brands always need updating to stay alive and thriving. You periodically need to reinvent yourself as well. And you have to consistently reinvent yourself to invest in your future. Like you were saying earlier, Chad, just every step you took was just investing in your future a little bit more, mapping out your goals and going towards them regardless. Could you tell me a little bit of the beginnings of how you heard about the trade?
It started back 2000, 2010. I got in the Marine Corps. I signed up for ITT Tech, and I got with your brother actually, and came over to his house. And there was one night where I actually stayed at your guys' parents' house, and he was leaving that day to go back to school. And I was like, hey, what school are you going to do? And he's like, NLC. And I was like, oh, okay. It didn't even put a thought process of what it was. If I was, not even a thought in my back of my head what it was or whatever. I was going to criminal justice for ITT Tech. I was going to become a police officer. Which,
That's right. I remember dropping you off there once.
yes.
Dang.
So it wasn't until after I came back from Afghanistan with the Army that I was working a construction job down in San Francisco, and the building I was working on burnt down. And that day, my little brother called me and was like, hey, dude, I'm going to go to NLC and become a lineman. I was like, what's a lineman? I still had no idea what it was. And he told me, oh, it's the guys that build power lines. I was like, are you telling me that I don't go in my bedroom and flip on those lights and they magically Bluetooth there? And he was like, no, people actually build those things. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll think about it. Looked a little into it. The girl I was dating at the time, not my wife now, I showed her what it was over the next week. I was like, dude, this might be a good thing for me to get into. It's construction, it's outside, it's changing, it's always, revolving into harder work and better work, and I can go anywhere I want, after I journey out and stuff. And she was like, nope. 3 days later, I packed my stuff and left.
Holy
And
cow.
I slept on slept on my buddy's couch and sent my application and got accepted. And I went through NLC, graduated in March of 2015. And 3 weeks after I got out of there, I was down in Arizona working non-union, which was great for about a year. And after that, this is where my grandpa comes in play. How I got into the union was he passed away. I quit that job, came home. I had some stuff going on that was mentally from being overseas and stuff that I hadn't dealt with. And so I was still kind of in a dark place. So I took a year off, and I said, you know what, I can't give this 110%. I'm not going to do it unless I can. So that's how I end up meeting my wife now, is when I came home on that trip. But it wasn't, and I wasn't gonna go back to line trade. I was gonna truck drive. I was gonna build houses. I wasn't too concerned about it. But
Gotcha.
I was back when I think it was 2016 when the Oroville Dam actually went down. The Oroville Dam was about to bust open, and all this crazy stuff happened when I was up in Oroville. So I started truck driving again, dropping rocks off on the dam. And this guy, Matt Adema, stopped me, and he goes, hey, is this what you do for a career? And I was like, no, I mean, I build houses. I'm just doing this because it's emergency work and it's good money. And he
Hmm.
was like, you ever thought about becoming like a lineman or something? You ever thought about doing something like that? Because it's a great job, dude. You'd have fun. You're really active. And I said, that's funny you say something, because my brother's in Mountain State's apprenticeship right now, and I've already been through NLC. And he's like, I'll help you do the paperwork. Let's meet up in a few days. So I did, and he helped me
Dude,
get all the paperwork, and there it was. Here I am.
that's amazing, dude. That's great. You know,
So
that story is so awesome to just know that like the last time we really hung out was probably around that time, you and I, of those days, that
right,
season in life, that time of just, I don't know, grabbing at the next, right? And honestly, I didn't know you were sleeping in your car and stuff. And I've had to do that several times, at least with the trade. But those are some trying times. And there is something beautiful about that kind of struggle. Because when someone's in survival mode, we're we're in beast mode. We're beasts of taking action, not that we're getting used to the struggle and sacrifice is the goal, but to be continually familiarized with like that hard work and that struggle or that supervised stress really puts you in a whole different mind frame, not allowing yourself to become comfortable enough to be blindsided when like unpredictable life-changing events rear their ugly heads like coronavirus, dude. And I know you mentioned that your grandfather got you into the IBEW. How do you like it? How do you like the
so,
Brotherhood, dude?
well, I mean, like I said, I've done non-union and then the IBW. The thing is, I like the IBW. I mean, as many as times as I hear people complain like this isn't right, or I hear a lot of people that aren't union and they go, hey, but you guys got to pay a lot of money out of your paychecks, and I'm like, honestly, I don't even see it. Like
Truly.
I just know that I have super good, I have good insurance, but there's non-union companies out there too that have super good insurance. So I mean, either way, like if things got bad here, like
Yep.
in the union, it's a brotherhood. We all have to stick together, and I either way, like I had fun on the non-union side, and I'm having a blast on the union side. So,
Yeah, there's definitely
um,
pros and cons to each, man. And I've experienced it too. When I started in the trade, I was out in the oil fields for contractors and then I eventually worked my way in the IBEW into the, but we're all a brotherhood of linemen. It's just funny how some people are so polar extreme that it causes its own divide within our trade. But I wanted to touch on the brotherhood, dude, because a huge issue for a lot of like linemen or say veterans or just men in general is that we don't know how to ask for help when it comes to reinventing ourselves and having to take that step back and like reevaluate, reprioritize, or re-aim and then take flight once again. And it's hard to do alone. Like every time, sometimes you need that. Sometimes you need to step back and reflect. But to do it every time, it's hard. And one of the benefits about being a lineman is that brotherhood, like I said, and that we are very tight knit. And you don't really, I mean, you find that in the Marines, I'm sure, but there's only a handful of trades out there that do give you that camaraderie. And
well,
it's a beautiful thing. But for a lot of guys, they don't have that opportunity when they come out. Because I had a friend who struggled with this, and he came out of serving for the country and then went straight into line work. And it was like the best fit for him ever because he didn't lose the brotherhood. He had a lot of support on it. But there's a lot of guys out there that I have conversations with that don't have that transition opportunity, that do come out of serving and then are just kind of like you explained, just trying to re-enter into that civilian life, man.
here's something that some of your listeners might want to know this, and I didn't know, and I wish someone would have told me.
Please tell me.
Was Yeah, in 2010 when I got out, they had all these things called helmets to hard hat programs, and no one ever told me what they were, so I never attended any of them. What it is I have a buddy who is in Southern California right now. He journeyed out just a few weeks back, and I was like, how'd you get in so fast and get out? And he was like, honestly, dude, I went from he got out I think in 2013 or something like that, but he got out and went straight into the helmets to hard hats program. And he said the day he got out of the Marine Corps, he went straight into NLC, and then straight from there he got accepted into where the I believe it was Cal Nev, you know.
Wow. Wow.
So there are programs out there for guys getting out. Just it's probably you start getting into I forget what it's called now, to get out program, whatever. That 6 months before you get out, you got to take all these classes.
Okay.
Start asking about those things.
Yes, dude, that's so funny. I'm so glad you mentioned that because a couple of questions later, I was literally going to ask, is there a real life job opportunities you can come out with, or is there programs offered? So I really appreciate you mentioning that because that's going to save a lot of people headache and the men trying to make that transition, dude. I appreciate that. So for a guy who has my brother's keeper tattooed on his back since 2011, but you didn't get into line work in 2015, like brotherhood must be a big thing for you. And obviously while we're chatting, it's heavy on our hearts and it means a lot. But I was just wondering, what did it mean when you got it, and has it changed or just added meaning to it since you've had it?
No, honestly, the best thing about that tattoo is this trade. I mean, the service, I have my brother's keeper in the service. It's the only trade that I could actually live here. We can joke around, we can say whatever. We don't have HR complaint system, so the brotherhood's there. You know, we sit there and we bicker at work, we fight or whatever we do, but we go home even stronger together. You know,
Yeah.
so the difference between the Marine Corps and being overseas and being on the line every day is that we have each other's back, and we spend more time with these guys than we do our own family. So our bond as brotherhood is tight. And the guys who come on the cruise and they feel awkward and everything like that, like, I don't know. I mean, probably been on a crew where a new journeyman shows up and they just kind of don't fit in. It's like, man, just start joking around with them. I
Right,
mean,
right.
it's a brotherhood that we open arms, man. And you want to take a few jabs when I'm giving you a hug, that's fine. You know, like I could never find another trade that has such a strong brotherhood that I could say this is just like the military.
Right. That's awesome. That says a lot right there, dude. You also mentioned when you were talking about the trade, it's just you haven't seen another trade where you can actually pick your own choices of how much money you want to make, where you want to work, where you want to go, how many hours you want to work. I mean, that's a huge advantage to a lot of people who don't get that opportunity, joining the trade. And I just wanted to ask you to maybe give our listeners an understanding of a difference between a job versus a career like line work. And I know you mentioned like the process for you and the communication, like we have to have over communication with the guys in the bucket and whatnot. But I was just wondering if you could paint a picture for, some of the younger cats wanting to get into the trade, what it's going to take or what it will create in you.
If I tell a lot of parents that don't know what they're going to do with their kids because their kids are about to graduate high school, they have no plans of going to college, and I was like, hey, I was right there, you know.
Yeah.
So I tell them, hey, there's great opportunities. They don't know what to do. Hey, I tell them send them to the military, or hey, go down to apply to be a groundsman. Find out what it takes. Have them see what the trade has to offer as a groundsman, and so they can look back once in a while and be like, okay, hey, those guys are up there on that line. How do I get into that? Get them a little bit more interested into something. Maybe it will catch their attention. Well, I am gonna say it's not for the faint. Like it's a kind of a struggle to get there. It is. But if you can just give up 3 or 4 years of your life and just put your heart and stuff into it. No one says that you have to go through an apprenticeship and stay in the trade, but finish something, because if you don't finish it, it gets easier to stop and quit other things. So if you can finish something, this is a great program to get into. It gives you a great future for your family. Like right now, I can work my 50 hours, or hey, I want to take a call out or something. I just put my name on the call out list, and every time
Right.
there's a fault or anything, I can
Yeah.
I can take that call.
What was it
If
yesterday? Yesterday we were gonna record this and you got a call. You're like, dude, I gotta go to work. We can't record. Let's do it tomorrow. I'm like, I get it, dude. It's awesome.
so the opportunities of how many hours you want to work. I mean, I've worked up to 100 and something hours in a week and kept going. I mean, storm work, great. As soon as you journey out, you can go chase storms, stay home for 3 months. I mean, make enough money in those 6 months where you can stay home for 6 months. I mean, it depends on how you're living. I mean, don't live out of your means at any means. That's the other thing I wanted to say. If you're going to become a contractor and you got to travel like I have, like I've been to Idaho, Texas, Utah, Illinois, just all over the place, and I've had to pay for my own expenses to go, whatever. But at any moment, you can travel, and that's one thing about being a contractor. Like I said, it's only 3 or 4 years of your life. Enjoy the adventure, enjoy the ride. I mean, I put my family on the road, and I said, we're going to do this together because we can become a family with the brotherhood, and we can have a good time and meet new people, and so many things to see out there. Don't get stuck in that small town, vice, I'd call it.
No, I love it, dude. Those are such words of wisdom because it does help you reinvent yourself, changing up your scenery, changing up your environment, your mind frame. It's all hand in hand, really. Um, Dude, so you dropped a bomb on me saying that you were working out storm in Denver and a cyclone hit you guys while you were out there. You want to go over that story of like the first responding work environment that us linemen have to go through? You already mentioned we work like 60 some hours straight, nonstop. And just maybe the tail end of that. I don't know whether it was two different stories or one altogether of that cyclone and those people when the power went back on and you were out there on the street.
Yeah. So it was my first storm. I mean, a lot of people that come to Denver, they're like, that wasn't a storm, and I'm like, okay, but it was for me. So, but it went on for 2 days straight. So we sat in our trucks for, I mean, after it started, after the wind kicked up and it's that heavy, wet snow that really just takes down power lines. Well, first time I've ever been on storm and only been on distribution for maybe 2 weeks. So to me, I was like really kind of scared, nervous, and I just turned hot like that 2 weeks
Wow.
prior.
Dude, that's some
So
danger
I maybe
games.
had 12 hot hours maybe under my belt, at that point, if any. And we go out to a store, and yeah, we worked. I think it was 60 hours straight, pretty much, no sleep, and you just packed your bag and threw it in the truck, and you just kiss your kids and wife goodbye, and and you'll see them when you see them, you'll talk to them when you can. Um, and then we get out there. I mean, the nerves are there, but I mean, everybody's there to support everybody in those kind of moments. The day-to-day life kind of gets a little bit, repetitive a little bit once in a while. But when you get on storm, everybody just kind of clicks. They know what they're doing. If they don't, no one's riding each other because they know that everybody that's up there needs everybody on the ground support too.
True.
So, and that tail end of that story where everybody was happy. This is the biggest thing about being in line work. I feel like it gives you goosebumps every time it happens. It's only happened, I think, maybe twice here. Um, but yeah, it's that time where you come up to someone's house and, hey, you guys still out of power? Just check in to make sure all the fuses got changed out. Make sure that all the transformers back online. And this lady comes out and she goes, we haven't had power in 4 days, and I've been cooking everybody because everybody has electrical stoves in the city except for this lady that was on the corner that had propane.
Oh, damn.
And so or natural gas or whatever she was, but she had a gas stove, and she was cooking the whole neighborhood food the whole week. People were bringing food out of the refrigerators because they couldn't eat it.
No
So
way.
she was telling us all the story. So it was kind of cool because I was like, hey, you know what? We'll be back in about an hour. We'll see what's going on. And yeah, it was like 30 minutes later. We got up on the pole. We closed her in with a new fuse, and you just hear all these people at 11 o'clock at night cheering, and all their lights are on, and it's like, we did that. It's not just me. You're being a part of a bigger thing than yourself. That's how I explain line work.
Dude, that's
So
beautiful.
it's just awesome.
No, I fully agree, man. Goosebumps and all. It totally is it's about being a part of something bigger than ourselves. That's what it is. Really, I love it. And like most of us, we're running for ourselves. Say if we're in a marathon, and if you're running for yourselves, you're gonna lose steam real quick. Some people will even quit the day before the marathon. And I know I've done that a couple of times with things I wanted to accomplish. So just a fun thing to keep in mind that when you're actually doing something for somebody else, that payoff is exponential for say you going out and doing something for yourself. And I really feel like that's the addiction part of line work, not only the brotherhood, but just the gratitude from people of providing power when they actually are out, man. It's an amazing feeling. Um, Going over some of your core values, man. Faith and family. You posted in last December. I was doing some Facebook creeping on you, and you posted, I know we all work a lot, but we have to take advantage of the time we have with the family and capture the moments we can. And I thank God every moment we get to. As well, you posted as well as you answered all my prayers, Lord, for I am able to call her my wife and RJ to call her mom. Dude, those things were amazing. When I saw that, I busted a little tear out. I was like, yes, yes, dude. It's like we've been apart for so long, you and I, or haven't talked in a while. And we both entered into
Right.
the season of life of being a parent and a husband. And just like seeing those raw emotions or reading those things, it's amazing to me. But I did want you, if you wouldn't mind, telling the story about how you proposed to your wife, dude. I saw that and I'm like, I have to hear the story. I have to hear it.
Uh, so, I actually, there's a little funny hook to this one. So my wife had never seen me in my dress blues and stuff like that, but she's always begged me. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't know how I was really going to ask her to marry me. And so I know that she was a rodeo queen. She was going to help out the CCPRA rodeo for 2013. And, but she had all these really close friends and still really involved in it. So when the rodeo came to Reading, um, we went up there, and it wasn't Reading, it was some town, I forget now. But anyways, the end of the tour for the CCPRA for California. Anyways, so I got with the head leader, the girl that runs the queen pageants and all this. And so I asked her, I said, hey, is there any way that you guys can spare, just a minute for me to go out there, to call her out, ask her to marry in front of everybody? And she was like, let me get a hold of somebody. You get a hold of somebody. So I said, okay, sounds good. Well, I got my uniform already. She doesn't know what's going on. At the last minute, the day before, I realized I don't have shoes for my uniform. So a guy that lived in Yuba City had a pair, which I deployed with him over in Afghanistan. I was like, come get them.
Awesome.
So, okay, sounds good. Not thinking what size they were going to be. So they were a size and a half too small. So I went out there wearing a normal size 10 and a half, but I had to wear a size 9 shoe. So we got out there. She didn't even know it was me.
No
And
way.
they told Jackie, hey, yeah. So they told Jackie, hey, hold the flaggers of the rodeo queen just for a second. We're going to do a huge military honor for this guy. So they come out there, they introduced me without saying my name. And
Dude.
at the end, they said my name. And she was like, she was in the back. She was saying just in a second, she was like, in the back, she was just talking crap about how I haven't asked her to marry her yet. And so when they said my name over the radio, they're like, why are they calling my my boyfriend to the center stage? Well, then she realized, and I called her out and asked her to marry me, and she was like, what is going on? And then I dropped the one knee, and yeah, that was she
Dude,
was totally surprised.
that's a movie scene.
So
That is awesome.
we got it all on video. So
Congratulations, man. What a nightmare. I love how those moments, those like tense moments never work. Like doesn't seem like it's gonna work out and everything's falling apart, and then just love reigns true. That's awesome.
right, exactly.
So your new hobby, dude. We were talking about hobbies. And one of your new ones, uh, your biggest mission is molding RJ, you said, and it sounds like it's quite the mission. Tell me how nothing's been normal since the day of his birth for you and your wife. I know you mentioned it previously, how he was early. Was there any other fun things that happened along the way?
Yeah, when he was preemie, he was in the NICU for 7 weeks after he was born, and the only thing that kept me going was line work. That was the only thing, going to work every day and just having that support of the brotherhood.
Wow.
So the other thing was, 2 weeks after he got out of the hospital, he had to go back for another week to the PICU because he got ammonia and a really bad sickness and stuff like that.
Oh, dude.
So that stinks. And then actually yesterday, when I was going to work and everything else, like you said before, he actually was getting surgery on his ears because his ear canal didn't grow as big. So they put some tubes in the back of his eardrums yesterday while I was at work. So
Okay.
it's just been a ride, and it's just him walking late because of when he was in the NICU. He actually the way they put his body and they held it there,
Mm-hmm.
one side of his body is so tight because of the way he was laid there for so long. But we got physical therapy on him. He's fine now. He just runs, and you can't even tell. Like no one would know.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
but you know
man,
what? We just love him, and we just let him beat himself up. We just pray every day that he keeps healthy and just keeps going. So it's
amen, dude.
awesome.
It's beautiful. Um, all right, dude, due to time, we're going to be closing. So in closing, styrofoam weights. Scratch your head. All right. When you're reinventing yourself, you don't want to be like someone who goes to the gym and only lifts styrofoam weights. It takes struggle and pain, and obviously RJ knows a lot about that already in his few years of living. That life is just going to be something so beautiful for him, knowing that he came through this. How are you anticipating, Chad, on using a lot of our life experiences revolving around like reinventing ourselves? Because we've been through a lot. And how are you going to use those as tools and sharing moments for RJ as he grows up? Just as a little heads up to the fathers out there who might have to anticipate doing that for their kids.
You know, to mold him, is that what you're asking? Like, to
Yeah.
be a leader to him and to mold him and to become a good dad, is the first thing is teach him respect. I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like everything that he has, we've had to bust our sweat, blood, tears into something to give him that stuff.
Mm.
So it's kind of, and just molding him. Like I told him, I told Jackie, my wife, that when he gets old enough to understand, because we do make good money and we do kind of, give it to our kids and stuff like that and show them a good life. And I
Mm.
told him, I turned around and I told my wife, I said, when he gets about 12 or 13 years old, I'm going to drive right back to the streets I lived in Clear Lake and down those dirt roads. And I'm going to be like, this is where I came from. This is how far you need to work and how hard you need to work to stay, where you're at. Work hard for everything you have, because it's not going to be easy. And you
Right.
just teach him a worth ethic. Is my biggest thing for him, is worth ethic, respect, and to whatever he knows, teach somebody else. Keep passing down whatever he knows to someone else. If you see someone struggling, stop and help them. It's not going to take more than 2 seconds.
Truly.
So molding him and to become, a faithful Christian like I am now, and have a Christian family, and, put those morals into that, and mold him into a good man. That's all I can be, is, mold him into a father, like how I'd want him to be, or, how he wants to be. But my football coach always told me this when I was younger: take everything good and take everything bad from every person you ever meet, and it'll be the man that you are if you do that. And I
Hey,
never have forgotten that. And that's kind of how I've done it. So,
wow. Well, I was going to ask you what your best advice you ever received in line work is, but man, that one's pretty hard to top. But is there anything
um,
else you'd like to add for like best advice for line workers specifically in line work, maybe?
the biggest, okay, so there's a sane, and then there's also seen leadership. And I think sane would be, Chad, you just need to slow down because you're like a squirrel on a pole. And I was running to a truck, and everybody does it. I don't know what it is. They get around, they get nervous when they first get there, and they'll be like, go get me a aluminum conductor shoe, Acer shoe or something like that. And
Yeah.
I'd run off and be like, what's an Acer shoe? Because I would be like, or they would say a bunch of things, but I'd only remember the first thing. So I had to learn how to slow down, take notes and stuff like that. And then the scene leadership is, I've been under leadership from someone that's been really good, in line work.
Yeah.
And I haven't had too many journeymen. I've maybe been under 2 journeymen my whole time. I've had mostly just foremen.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen really good foremen that can lead, that do everything like that, will set everything out. So all you have to do is get there and just do your job. And then I've seen those foremen that are, I call it just in name, as in the crew runs the crew and the foreman sits in the truck and he doesn't know what's going on except for they work 10 hours a day.
Right.
So
Definitely both
those are
sides.
so you gotta, that's how I see the leadership. And
I love it,
you just
man.
gotta take the good from it and leave the bad behind.
Yeah, no, and be aware of your surroundings and your situation. Like you said, the different leadership styles. If you want to shine, you're going to have to shine according to that person in charge and his leadership style and how he communicates what success looks like on his crew. All
and
right, dude.
and to be
Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, just one more thing for anybody that gets into this trade and they get yelled at and screamed at every day and they just feel like they're going to quit. Don't. They're teaching you something.
Yeah.
They're showing, like, I didn't realize it until about 7 months into this trade. This guy, when I got the layoff slip, he laid us off because there was no more work on that job. So he was like, at the end of it, I went to another company and I realized how much I had learned. And so I called him up and I texted him actually. And I said, dude, I didn't know what you were doing, but thank you. And
Wow.
that was it. So just remember that. Don't get hard headed and don't get an attitude. Just go with it, learn from it, and take day by day.
No, I love it, dude. And just to tag dovetail what you said, don't take anything personal, guys. If you're out there doing line work, nothing's personal. Like, you got to understand, this dude or this contractor or whoever you're working for is trying to provide food and money for your family, and you might not know a situation. So anyways, Chad, I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming on and donating your time to the cause and sharing all those amazing experiences of your life stories, dude, in line work. I really value that a lot. And know that a lot of people have benefited from listening in. Also, if you didn't hear in my introduction, this guy, Chad, he's going to be graduating or taking the test. What, September, Chad, was it?
September, yeah.
You're going to be journeying out. So any of you listeners out there who have anything to give him advice-wise or tools or tips, hit him up, find him on Facebook. Maybe I might post something along those lines so they can shoot that out to you, Chad. All right, guys. Well, to wrap this up and highlight a couple of things of the episode, every day you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself. You are always in motion, but you decide forward or backwards. And that you should aim for your goals, even if you step off the path just for a moment. Just always redirect yourself back to your goals, because you need to invest in your future and periodically reinvent yourself. Another saying I love to tell people is that success is not owned, it's leased and rented every day. Listen to all of us needing your mistakes and failures. And when you listen to your mistakes and failures, you're gonna be able to reset the bar for what you're gonna tolerate moving forward, because one day your kids will tolerate what you did as their default. All right, everybody, thank you for listening in, and I hope you had found value in today's episode. And our goal here is applicable knowledge with impactful entertainment. And if you want our top 10 steps to reinvent yourself, check out our Facebook or Instagram page and download them if you like. So stay safe out there, everybody. And like always, I'm Joe with Meta Line Pros, pushing leadership forward within our industry as linemen. So I will be catching you guys later. And Chad, once again, thank you for coming on, and I'll catch you next time, bro.
All right, peace.
Peace out.